Hello and welcome to the Boats. It's just finished West Ham United 0, Manchester City 5. Emily, can I get your thoughts on... Well, let's start with the first half. What do you think of the first half?
To be honest, I actually thought the first half went pretty well, which sort of made the result that much more disturbing because actually in the first half we moved the ball around well, great passing, some really skillful pieces from Lanzini, from Antonio, from our new signing Haller. But the second half, it was, in some ways a different team came out and it went from bad to worse in a matter of minutes, really.
Well, it was a slightly different team. He made one sub at half time. He took Antonio off for Canals. Did you agree with that? With hindsight, it's always better with hindsight, isn't it? But in hindsight, do you think it was the right call? Or
everything is, as you say, easier with hindsight. I think that it was a substitution I was quite surprised about, as personally I felt that Antonio was actually one of the more impactful players in the game. It's quite clear that over the summer he's worked on his fitness drastically. He's a tank, and he was doing great work and getting past players, and so the only reason I can imagine him coming off is that it had to be some sort of injury. No real criticisms of Fornell's style of play, but given that Antonio came off at the half shortly after we lost Wiltshire, who had actually been more or less controlling the game from his position, that we suddenly did have a weakened side in the pitch, and that unfortunately was made even worse when Anderson was injured and had to come off unexpectedly.
VAR was obviously a big talking point today. We can't get away from it. One went in our favour, chalking off Man City's goal. Then the second one was the penalty decision, which had to be retaken and stuff. What was your thoughts on it from someone sitting inside the ground and experiencing it, if you like, firsthand?
I think for myself and a lot of fans, there's been this real anticipation for VAR coming in because we've been one of the teams that has sort of suffered from poor decisions in the past, and it's made a massive difference at the end of the season in terms of our standing and where the money comes in. I think what was frustrating today is that we saw a game where technology is still only as useful as the people who are using it. And when you have a game that's dominated by a referee who wants to be the narrator rather than the bystander, technology still plays a back seat to the actual decisions that are being made inside the ground. I think where I found myself quite surprised was in the difference between the two City goals, the one that was ruled offside and the one that wasn't. And I think I'd like to see them back a little clearer to really understand, because on the surface, in the ground, it was quite a surprising thing to see one get overturned and the other not. But VAR is only as effective as the people using it.
Lots of positives to take from today, as you mentioned. What's the main positives for you?
This isn't the game that's going to define our season. I think that we saw in the first half a team that know how to play together, and I think it was just unfortunate that our first game had to be against a team that's going to walk the league this year. City are very, very good. They didn't have to try that hard in this game, and it's nothing to do with playing us. They're just that good. I think that we'll have a better test of who we are and what we're able to do over the next few games when we have more approachable opposition, shall we say. So I'm disappointed because nobody feels good being on the end of a 5-0 drubbing. But I don't think that that's going to be the standard for this season. I think we've got a lot of potential.
What players stood out for you? For good or bad reasons, which player stood out?
I think the player that stood out the best was Haller, actually. I saw him at the Fulham friendly, and while I didn't have anything negative to say about him, I didn't feel like he was the player that most set the game alight. But having said that today, I think the guy's just got buckets of potential. He's in the right place at the right time. He's skillful. He's not harried off the ball. He really looks like he knows the game very well. I think in a very close second, actually, is Antonio. I thought he had a fantastic first half. He seemed to be the player that we love and respect from previous seasons, and I'm very much hopeful that he hasn't gotten injured or anything, because I think he's got a big role to play this season.
And then last question, at the end of a 5-0 defeat, but it's only one game then, so I'm going to put you on the spot, but how well do you think we'll do this season, going by what you've seen?
You know what, honestly, such a tough question. I don't think that we'll be that different ending up from where we were last season. I just think we'll get there easier. So I could see us somewhere between 8th and 10th, but I just think we won't have, saying that after this, as many low points as maybe we did perhaps last season. I think we're getting somewhere, just slowly.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Emily. Take care and I'll catch you in a bit.